Wow, folks, this is Steve AB4EL. I just got in from mowing for the second time today. In between, I coughed up a really big one. That's why I went out and did the second round. Now, I'm tickling in here. Be patient with me. I love it when there's coincidences in the same day. Now, you know nothing, especially now, nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation. I go to slashdot.org. It's one of my tabs. Thoma Bravo to take UK security company Darktrace private in a $5 billion deal. And it's on a site called TechCrunch. And when I started to scroll down, you see it got into trouble. It lost the article. But let's remember, let's see if we can do this. You just say, send it to me again. So keep in mind Darktrace. Now, of course, my other regular is BleepingComputer. Today's Friday. It's about almost 6:30 p.m. I was reading earlier before I went out for the second round of taming the grass. And I thought this one was very interesting. It was published yesterday about this time. I like the illustration. Researchers Sinkhole PlugX malware server with 2.5 million unique IPs. That means computers that have, like, when I go out on the internet, I'm identified by a unique IP number. In my case, I get it by way of my ISP. And they see the IP number of my router in the other room. So I thought this was an interesting article. What does sinkhole mean? That's part of the reason why I read it. But there was another reason. Researchers have sinkholed a command and control server. So the bad guys that shove malware onto your computer, usually it uses your computer's internet connection to call back to the control server to, like, send all your secrets or download more bad stuff. Oh, command and control server. Sinkhole, a command and control server for a variant of the PlugX malware, and observed in 6 months research study, more than 2.5 million connections from unique IP addresses. Now, I just explained to you that, like, when I go to Google, or I go to YouTube, or I go to here, their server sees exactly the same IP number, which is unique to me. There are other situations where you, like a VPN, virtual private network, or a Tor server, you connect to the Tor server and then it goes out and forwards your request. And those people don't see your IP address, they see the server's. Since last September, and it's April now, the Sinkhole server received over 90,000 requests every day from infected hosts in more than 170 countries. How many countries are there in the world? Now, the company that's doing this is called Sequoia. And this is their blog. And it's an extensive write-up. In September 2023, we successfully sinkholed a command and control server linked to the PlugX worms. Now, as soon as I said worms, I'm thinking, this is an old one, right? For just $7, we acquired the unique IP address tied to a variant of this worm, which had been previously documented by Sophos, which is an antivirus software company. Almost 4 years after its initial launch, between 90,000 and 100,000 unique public IP addresses are still infected, sending distinctive PlugX requests daily to our sinkhole. Now, what they're doing is, as it explains later, the original bad guy abandoned his single server after infecting millions. He may have got bored. It may be the antiviruses mostly shut it down and it wasn't working to him. But not everybody actually cleans their computer even once a year. So what these people did is they, at Sequoia, they knew that in fact the actual command and control server address was no longer active and in use. So they bought that address and registered it themselves. And they wrote software to imitate what the command and control server of the original PlugX was doing. And then they just started listening to see if there's any creeps out there with dirty computers where it's still trying to call home. ET call home. ET call home. Same thing. Think of that movie. Think of the robot. Think of he's lost way to hell from his original wherever he came from. It's sort of like this. Sinkhole is they're doing this purposefully to study it for research. In other words, they're not intending to actually gather data from whoever owns those dirty computers. So they go through it, and the point of it is that the original address was, I haven't done the search, was hosted by Green Cloud. Let's see if Green Cloud, power up your business. This is the first time I'm looking. Power up your business with Green Cloud. Affordable Windows VPS, Linux VPS, Mac OS VPS, backed by enterprise software and excellent 24/7 customer services. Virtual private server. Instead of you physically having a server at your store and having an IP number, they do it. You put your stuff on their computer, it's cloud stuff. But they're obviously gearing it to, I own a repair shop like Scott, and I decided that I want to have a website. Well, do I need to learn how to do that, or can I use green? All right? So they knew that it was registered to this guy, them. So the researchers went and said, hey, look, this is actually malware, blah, blah, blah. Can we buy that address? Sure, $7. So here's the address. 45.142.166.112. But they wrote it in a way that if you click on it, it doesn't do anything. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to open a command prompt on my Windows computer. And I'm going to say ping. What does ping mean? Send a certain kind of unique packet to ask if there's an active server at that address that will say, yes, I'm alive. And it does no more than that. It doesn't mean it's a website. It doesn't mean, it just means, is there a machine that's listening on that address and owns it and will say, yes, I'm here. Some websites intentionally turn off their ping reply service. I'm clarifying it for you. Now I have to take out the bracket around the final dot to make it work. Oh, I put P-I-N-K. Ping. It took 193 milliseconds for wherever that server is to answer. Should I put it in my web browser? Is it dangerous, or do I trust that the researchers won't crap me out? I've never done this. I haven't done this. Why did it do that? We know it's a live site. Why did it do that? I can answer it. It's easy. It says it sent back an error. What it sent back is an error so far as web browsing is concerned. It didn't send anything back. It responded, but it didn't send anything back. Now, no, wait a minute. I didn't touch it, so that timed out. So what's actually behind the page here? Nothing. There's nothing. There's no source code for the HTML. There is no HTML. So effectively, all that happened was that it replied pinged. Well, why didn't it do something? Because my request didn't fit the pattern as being an infected computer with a PlugX worm. Did you get that? That's why I didn't feel as though I was in any danger to actually do this. I knew that's what was going to happen. I didn't experiment with this first. I knew that's what was going to happen. Why? Because the guys who are doing it are ethical scientists, researchers. They're white hats. They're on our side. They're not going to screw me over. They're interested to find out the real infected computers, and I'm just playing around. Now, excuse me for going off like that, but I want to explain what I'm doing. I'm not quite Biden yet. Do you think he could do something like this and explain it? So the server's actually at this place, and the program that's loaded there looked at my request and disregarded it. because I'm not an infected PlugX worm. So who's Sequoia? Oh, wait a minute. Here's a picture. Now, the darker the color, the denser the frequency of the respondents. It said there's 13,004 new infections yesterday. There's no, that's just, I don't know how they're doing. Oh, they got dots, so they're Europeans. They don't use commas. I got it right. You do know that, don't you? When you see 2.000 and it's from France, it's like us doing 2,000. China's big, India's big, Bangladesh is blah, Pakistan's big, United States is big. While the worm spread to 170 countries, just 15 of them account for more than 80% of the total still existing infections. With Nigeria, India, China, Iran, Indonesia, the UK, Iraq, and the United States being at the top of the list. And this was another way of them doing it. There's Nigeria, NG. There's India. There's China, CN. There's Iran. There's... Now, I'll just say this. While PlugX was initially associated with state-sponsored operations of Chinese origin, the malware has turned into a common tool over the years and has been used by various threat actors, some of them involved in financial... In other words, how the worm actually sticks the crap into your computer is what's being used now. The original inventor is long since doesn't play with that anymore. Other people, not being as bright, are copycats. So who is Sequoia? Cyber research company Sequoia. Oh, that's right, I was already there. You can go read the rest of the article. So, let's find out who they are. They go into a lot of detail. So who are they? You know, I always like to look. APT, cyber threat intelligence, cybercrime, detection, info stealing, malware, ransomware. Discover the Sequoia SOC platform. And then we get to About Us. There's the team. Sequoia.io is a European cybersecurity security as a service SaaS company whose mission is to develop the best protection. Chat with our team. I'm looking to see if they'll say who the guys are that own it, but I don't see it. Contact us. All right, now this is in French, and it offers an English translation. Can you read it? I can. LinkedIn. I haven't done this before. It's in Britannia. BRETANIA. which is a, I don't know, do they say, how do they say what the states are in France? I've forgotten. It took 3 years of French in high school, 4 years of Latin. They didn't bother to say France. They assume you know where that is. Looks like a typical European country. It's got a canal running through or a river running. Right. Let's look on the map. My guess it's the northwestern. Let's see where it is. Let's see if it's northwestern France. I don't remember where it is. It's right there. There's Paris. There's Belgium. There's London. There's Guernsey. There's Jersey. Those are islands owned by the UK. There's Brest, Nantes. Now, why was it that I kind of knew which part of France it was in? Why would I, I mean, I took those French courses, in high school a really long time ago. And I'll also say that in 1966, when I landed in Luxembourg, I went to Paris, and then I went as fast as I could down to Spain. So it isn't like I toured around France a lot. Why would I kind of know which part of France it was in? I'll tell you in a moment. It's the capital city of, now we'll say it in English, Brittany, in northwestern France. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a map of Brittany, and I was just what I thought. It is a coastal province. Brittany, France's northwesternmost region, is a hilly peninsula extending out into the Atlantic Ocean. Its lengthy, rugged coastline is dotted with da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And let's see if it had any role in the Second World War. Prehistoric origins. Hang on. Now, my mind does this, and I know the Romans were there. And it's got its all little counties. And they've got ruins going all the way back, and they're, oh! This map shows you what's important. Do you see it right there? What's this one here? Normandy. And what's the one next to it? Brittany. Oh, that shakes my memory for sure. Royal Air Force attack on Saint-Malo, 1942. So the Nazi-occupied France is the clue to you. See, I'm way off the topic. Germantown, Pennsylvania. Bear with me. And we're kind of interested in West Queen Lane. Here's Wissahickon Avenue. There's the Penn Railroad. Here's West Queen Lane. And we're interested in this building right here, this one right here. Boy, that really looks dilapidated, doesn't it? But we're interested in this one here, this one right here. A long time ago, when I lived in Philadelphia, in the Germantown area, I knew a Français, a Frenchman. And he owned a laundromat that was on the ground floor here. Doesn't look like it's a laundromat now. And yeah, there were apartments above that. And actually, he went back to France. His father had come with him and his wife. His father had come with him. His father was, I was surprised at how old he was, but he was still actively working as a stonemason. His father was working as a stonemason. But he was working for a company in Philadelphia that made cinder blocks from concrete. And what he did was he learned how to make cinder blocks, everything that you needed to know. And then he took his wife and his kid and his father and went back to France, to Brittany, to start his own cinder block company. But you're wondering, what the hell has this got to do with what the hell has it got to do with this? So when the American and Allied forces, British, Commonwealth, etc., Free French and whatever, invaded Europe, where did they land primarily? Normandy. What's next to Normandy? Brittany. And my friend from long ago told me that as a teenager under Nazi occupation, he was in the resistance. He admitted that they mainly made they were able to exist and buy food under Nazi occupation as an armed resistance by robbing banks. But they were a part of a network that went on alert on D-Day to shoot up, sabotage, and divert as many German forces as possible in Brittany so they could not be mobilized to Normandy. Keep the Nazis spread out. So that's why my mind wanders. In a way, it's kind of unusual to find a cybersecurity company there, but you can start a company like that anywhere in the world. I can see it's got a university. Sure, so they got a lot of smart people there. So when I looked at this, even though they're saying where they are in French, I went, bingo, I know where that is, even though I've never been there, because I've known somebody from there who fought the Nazis. So that's kind of the way I see things. I thought this was very interesting. And I'll remember the verb sinkhole. Steve AB4 out. Just having fun. Reminiscing a little bit too. Saying see you in 73.